All right, how about some help with determining whether something that you buy from the grocery store is truly gluten-free or not? I know that transitioning into gluten-free world can be incredibly overwhelming as a person who has done it, for family members who are trying to accommodate this dietary necessity. It can be very frustrating. It can make you feel out of control and just completely helpless until you are, well equipped with that information. So I'm here in my home kitchen and I'm gonna just show you quickly where you can find stuff on the label to decide right off the bat, is something gluten-free or not. What you need to know is that gluten is measured in terms of parts per million. And as of this year, 2014, the government actually came forth and made the law, that for a manufacturer to print the words gluten-free on their label, that manufacturer has to check that individual food for the presence of gluten, and the levels cannot exceed 20 parts per million. Okay, so all gluten-free stuff per the labeling law is supposed to have gluten content less than 20 parts per million. Okay, now everybody is going to disclose it differently on their label. So what I would suggest is actually partnering up and learning what brands are reliably gluten-free, and some of the ones that I use with professional baking and have used, during transition onto gluten-free lifestyle myself. One of my favorite brands is in my baking line, Bob's Red Mill. I just call him Bob. I feel like I know the guy, but this is a wonderful company, completely legit. They have so much integrity, so much honesty, and have really, in my opinion, just been stellar in terms of how much work and support they have given the gluten-free community. So any grocery store pretty much nowadays carries Bob's, and you'll see his products will either have, like, in bold writing up here, gluten-free, or on other stuff he'll have this little emblem here that says gluten-free. Sometimes it's down on the bottom. So you just have to know what you're looking for. So Bob's Red Mill, not all of his stuff is gluten-free, but those are going to be the places where you're going to find it. If you have a local grocery store that carries a generic brand, one of ours out here in the Chicagoland area, Jewel, actually has a generic brand, Essential Everyday. I use this in my professional baking. They have been rock solid with what they say is gluten-free, truly being gluten-free. We batch test every single thing that we do in the bakery, and our sensitivity on our testing model goes down to 10 parts per million. And every single batch, we use Bob's. We actually use all the ingredients I'm going to show you today, but we use this brand right here. It's highly discounted, and they will proudly put on the side over here, you can see, I hope I have that clear for you, gluten-free. If this brand is not, they won't put it on there, but it's here on the sugar. The applesauce, the same thing, unsweetened. We use it a lot for egg-free substitution. They'll put it on the back here. It's a gluten-free food. So once you have reliability with one particular company, I think it's completely helpful. Those are two great resources out here. Another national brand is Rodell, the vanilla. All right, and it says clearly on the back here, gluten-free. This stuff right here is a dairy alternative butter. People who have a gluten intolerance usually have other food sensitivities as well. Dairy is one of the big ones. So if you're doing baking for yourself as a gluten-free individual, you're getting ready for somebody else who does, just do your due diligence and do your best. This is going to be one of the greatest things. I like this particular one. In our baking line in the bakery, we actually move towards the major allergen free. So it's gluten and egg and dairy and soy free as well. So this particular one with the red is soy free. It tastes just like spreadable butter. They also make it in sticks. It still gives you that nice mouthfeel of regular butter, but on here, they put their disclaimer on the side. Okay, awesome. When you're moving into like frostings and decorations for cakes or cookies or whatever, a lot of people are having problems allergy-wise with the chemicals of the dyes and things that are used. So there is this fantastic company called India Tree. All of their colors actually come from vegetables and spices. So like their blue comes from red cabbage, the red, I forget where stuff comes from, beet juice, yellow comes from curcumin. So you're not getting nasty chemicals. These mix up, you have to keep them in the fridge, into beautiful frosting colors. I mean, they're gorgeous. Love this company. They don't just make food colorings, they also make sprinkles, they make different color sugars and things, and the same thing applies. So if you have a lot of food sensitivities and you're trying to not only move away from gluten, but also some of those chemicals, this is one of those like life-saving companies for you. Spectrum, this is a shortening which is actually not only gluten-free, but it's dairy-free. We were trying to come up with an alternative that was actually coconut-free. Coconut was added to one of the lists of one of the top allergens, and this has been a handy substitute. It works pretty much the same way as like a Crisco does. The difference is that it's not hydrogenated. So shortening will never be healthy for you, but if you can do something to make it a little bit better, this is phenomenal. Love it. And then lastly, what to do when you come across an item that does not say whether or not it is gluten-free. All right, now we would think in nature salt should not be contaminated with gluten, and that is true. So here comes the teaching point. You get the salt wherever salt comes from. You have to somehow get it in the package. So Morton goes and they put the salt in this container. But what if on the machinery that was putting this into the container, there's this giant dog running through my backyard right now, I don't know who it is. What if Morton processed this on a piece of machinery that was just processing regular all-purpose flour? This didn't start out having gluten, but it can become contaminated. So since they don't say here anywhere on the label whether or not it's gluten-free, and you look at the ingredient list and it says ingredients are sea salt, calcium silicate, dextrose, and potassium iodide, you would say, well, it doesn't say anything about this having wheat or rye or barley. It must be gluten-free. That's false. When in doubt, go without, because it could be contaminated, not because it was born that way, but through the manufacturing process. So in this case, either go online. Most companies, national brands nowadays, will have a dated statement that says we test and it is gluten-free, or you have to get on the phone with them and ask them, is the stuff gluten-free? But they'll actually tell you it's always subject to change. So anytime you're using manufactured products, you're pretty much always at the mercy that they have honesty and integrity with disclosing whether or not their stuff truly is gluten-free. So I hope that that is helpful. Those are some of the things that we use. If you have any questions, send us a little email, nicebuns.com, and we'll be happy to help you out.